Imagine waking up every single morning for 30 years, convinced that the war is still going on. Imagine watching the jungle around you, waiting for the enemy, loading your rifle, staying hidden, while the rest of the world had already moved on, while cities were rebuilt, families were reunited, decades passed. This is not fiction. This is the true story of Hiroo Onoda, the last soldier of World War II, and the most loyal man who ever lived. The year is 1942. Japan is at war with the world, and a young man named Hiroo Onoda, just 20 years old, is drafted into the Imperial Japanese Army. But Onoda is not just any soldier. He is sent to Nakano School, Japan's elite military intelligence academy. There, he is trained in something far more dangerous than combat. He is trained in survival, guerrilla warfare, psychological endurance. His instructors teach him one rule above all others: you do not surrender, you do not give up, ever. In 1944, Onoda is deployed to a small island in the Philippines, a place called Lubang. His mission: sabotage enemy operations, disrupt supply lines, and under no circumstances surrender. Those were his orders. He intended to follow them. September 2nd, 1945, Japan formally surrenders aboard the USS Missouri. World War II is over. Soldiers across the Pacific lay down their weapons. Prisoners are freed. Families are reunited. The world exhales. But on the island of Lubang, a small group of Japanese soldiers never got the message. Onoda and his men find leaflets dropped from planes. Leaflets that say, "The war is over, surrender now." But Onoda does not believe them. He has been trained to resist psychological operations. He has been told the enemy will try to trick him. "This is propaganda," he tells his men. "The war is not over. We continue." And so they do. Years pass. His companions slowly disappear, some killed in skirmishes, some choosing to surrender. By the 1960s, Onoda is alone. One man, one rifle, one mission. In a war that ended 20 years ago, the Philippine and Japanese governments know Onoda is out there. They try everything. Planes fly over the jungle broadcasting recorded messages from Japanese generals, telling him the war is over. His own family records messages, begging him to come home. Search parties enter the jungle carrying newspapers, photographs, proof that Japan surrendered decades ago. Onoda sees all of it and believes none of it. To him, it all makes sense as deception. Of course, the enemy would use his family's voices. Of course, they would forge documents. His training had prepared him for exactly this. The cruelest part? He was doing exactly what he was told to do. He was the perfect soldier in a war that no longer existed. 1974. Nearly 30 years have passed. A young Japanese adventurer named Norio Suzuki travels to the Philippines with an unusual goal. "I'm going to find Hiroo Onoda." People think he's crazy, but Suzuki walks into the jungle, and somehow he finds him. Onoda, now 52 years old, emerges from the trees, still in uniform, still carrying his rifle, still ready to fight. Suzuki tells him the truth. Onoda doesn't believe him either, not until something extraordinary happens. The Japanese government tracks down Onoda's original commanding officer, now an old man living a quiet civilian life. Major Yoshimi Taniguchi flies to Lubang Island. He stands before Onoda, and he gives him the only thing that could end this: a direct order. "The war is over, Onoda. You are hereby relieved of duty." For the first time in 30 years, Hiroo Onoda lowers his weapon. Onoda returns to Japan in 1974. To a hero's welcome, he is celebrated, bewildered, lost. The country he fought for no longer exists in the way he remembered. The world had changed completely, without him. He later writes in his memoir, "I had no friends, no family here anymore. It was a reality I couldn't accept." He eventually moves to Brazil, starts a farm, builds a new life. He dies in 2014 at the age of 91. But here's the question that haunts this story. What if someone had reached him earlier? What if one message had broken through? What if the search parties had gone deeper? What if he had believed his own family's voices? 30 years of his life gone, spent fighting a ghost war. Not because he was crazy, not because he was stupid, but because he was too loyal to question the world he had been handed. And maybe that's the most terrifying part of all. Because how many of us are doing the same thing, fighting battles that already ended, loyal to beliefs we never stopped to question? If this story stayed with you, there are dozens more like it, hidden in the corners of history. Stories that sound impossible, but happened anyway. Subscribe, and we'll find them together.